On the very day that Medgar Evers was killed, we were there. So my uncle Willie, their father, and my father, they grabbed their guns. They asked us to turn all the lights off and get down on the floor. I said to my sister, "They've killed Medgar Evers. That's what's happened."
You felt that?
I felt it. I felt it. I really did.
Commission a battleship and name it after Medgar Wiley Evers. And the unfortunate thing about it is that where we are now, excuse me, I'm tearing up here. The unfortunate thing about it is our current president is now trying to remove the name of Medgar Evers from that battleship.
And I would go in and out of the house, not really understanding who home I was actually in. But the man was a strong father figure.
Just knowing that he lived in our community, it was like he was our big shoulder. And so when he was around and he, come home, just be able to look at him and say, okay, we're fine because this is our hero.
Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're watching this from. I am with an amazing family, and they're on the Soul Bus, and this is an amazing story. They took a tour with me yesterday, and they started talking, and I wanted them to come to the front of the bus and give the tour, but they've got a story connected to a major spot in American history and American herstory. Let me introduce you to some of the Quinns. We've got Sandra Quinn Moppet. Okay, we also have Regina Quinn May. We have Grace Quinn Malden, and we got Mr. Brutus Quinn. They've got a real story that's going to connect a lot of people about the civil rights movement and Medgar Evers and the day he died and their family connection to there. First, just say hello. We'll start with, since you're the closest, I guess, or whoever wants to start first. Just tell us about yourself and then go into the story for a little bit, and what are you willing to share?
Okay, well, I'm Sandra Quinn, and we grew up in the neighborhood surrounding or connected to the Medgar Evers family.
Yes, ma'am.
Played with his children and just established, some great relationships with them. It was a lot of fun time, but at the same time, of course, during the ordeal of him being killed, it was very catastrophic for all of us, especially at the young age that we were.
Okay.
My name is Grace.
Yes, ma'am.
And my brother and sister attended Tougaloo College.
Okay.
And they often talked about Medgar Evers and the voter registration drives. And they were somewhat active in some of the activity that was going on around in Jackson. And so my uncle, who was Regina and these three, their father, lived in that community, and we would spend time there often. So during the summer, when my father was attending Jackson State, we would often be there for long periods of time. On the very day that Medgar Evers was killed, we were there. I was about 15. My brother and sister were in college, so they were 17 and maybe 19 years of age. And my younger sister was probably 13. We were there. My cousins were not, but we were there playing cards. My father and my Uncle Willie, who was their father, was sleeping. It was pretty late. We were playing cards, and we heard this tremendous shot. And at that time, everybody was concerned. At that point, I said to my sister, "They've killed Medgar Evers. That's what's happened."
You felt that?
I felt it. I felt it. I really did feel it because there was a lot going on. One of my father's students had been murdered. So James Chaney had been killed, and he was one of my father's favorite students. So that was everybody's thought process in our communities during that time, was violence against the black community. So my uncle Willie, their father, and my father got up immediately. They heard the noise. They had the same inclination. They grabbed their guns. They asked us to turn all the lights off and get down on the floor. And they ran to Medgar's side, found him shot laying in the driveway. It was a horrible, horrible experience, and I'll never ever forget it. We didn't go over there until the following morning. We saw the blood stains in the driveway and all of that. But our parents, my father and my uncle, did not allow us to go to the site. We did go to the neighbors because we were very afraid. We went to the neighbor behind us where there was an adult in the household. But my uncle and my father were out for some time. My uncle actually went to the hospital with Medgar.
How do you juxtapose living with you reading it in history books where there should be justice, but have this man found not guilty and then to reside in the community for a long time afterwards? Is that thought that would come to your mind, or did you just try to push it all out of your mind? And
it was troubling. It was the troubles of the times. So that was among many incidences we had to live with and still have in our memories, and we'll never forget.
Regina, I was just going to say, Regina, okay, got it.
Go ahead, keep talking.
Okay. Well, I am, again, thank you for doing this because this is very important history for us. Well,
Thank you. I know it's difficult to share, but thank you.
Well, but very timely and very, very important, particularly where we are now in American history and world history.
Yes, ma'am.
But I was almost 3 when Medgar Evers was assassinated. So I grew up not really knowing all of the real details, and I didn't find out until much later. And it was interesting. I happened to be at the home of one of my dear friends, Houston Wells Jr.
Okay.
Mr. Wells said, Regina, this is what I do know. When that shot rang out, your father and his brother came to the scene. And it's not like you would see on TV when there is a reenactment of things. He said people were scared to death.
That's right.
So people were inside their homes, many of them. And he and my dad took Medgar Evers to the hospital in Mr. Wells' station wagon. And so just knowing the history of Medgar Evers and what he lived and died for, I think probably had some effect on me growing up. You know, Mississippi is like ground zero for the civil rights movement. And I believe that is part of what inspired me to go to law school.
Okay.
And so you talk about things that were happening back then, but when you think about things that are happening even today with Trayvon Martin and Floyd, and just the murders of black men and black people in America, very troubling. But the fight continues for us as black people.
It does, and black women.
Breonna Taylor
aren't spared from
absolutely
the inhumanity of cops and
exactly.
Yes, sir.
Yes. During that particular time, I was only 8 years old and wasn't actually in Jackson, but as growing up in that community, the street that Medgar Evers lived on, Gines, during that time, was the street that we would always go and play and ride our bikes. And I would go in and out of the house, not really understanding who home I was actually in. But the man was a strong father figure, and his wife was beautiful, and just shared with us as children on that particular street to be able to just play and express ourselves. But I later found out about Medgar Evers as a civil rights leader, that he was also trying to get in the University of Mississippi Law School. And I thought to myself, I ended up going to Ole Miss, but if it wasn't for men like him, I wouldn't have been able to enter into that particular school. So I really admired that about him, how he made the struggle for us to have justice in America.
I would like to share
Yes, ma'am.
one other thing, and I mentioned it to family members at a family reunion event,
Yes, ma'am.
and that was when I was general counsel at Jackson State University. Barack Obama, as you may recall, appointed Ray Mabus, our former governor, to be the secretary of the Navy, and I may have the title wrong, but Ray Mabus had an event, and he invited Merle Evers, the widow of Medgar Evers, to Jackson State. And it was a beautiful ceremony. And that time he announced that he was going to commission a battleship and name it after Medgar Wiley Evers. And the unfortunate thing about it is that where we are now, excuse me, I'm tearing up here. The unfortunate thing about it is our current president is now trying to remove the name of Medgar Evers from that battleship, as well as take the names of many black civil rights activists and just kind of wash them out of the history of America. And that is just very troubling.
So they did go ahead and name the
Oh,
battleship.
yes.
After,
It's currently Medgar Evers.
Well-
Medgar Wiley, or battleship, is named after Medgar Wiley Evers.
That's something I didn't know.
Yes.
It's something I'm inspired to push on, that we not let that name be
Oh, yeah.
decommissioned
Well,
or taken off of that battleship. I've never heard of changing the name of a battleship before. That's unprecedented.
it really is.
But we're living in unprecedented times.
We
where
are.
We're
We
living
are.
with a dictator rather than a
Yes.
democratic.
Yes,
elected
we
president.
have no democracy now. If people are not aware of that, we don't.
I also want to share that, talking with my father, I always thought that Medgar Evers died there at his home,
Okay.
but I found out later talking to him that when they got to the hospital, he was actually still alive, and that he actually passed at the hospital. And so a lot of people think that he actually was killed right there at his home, but he did survive until he got to the hospital. My father felt it was like a care.
Yeah.
Growing up, I know you all were kind enough to relive this moment with me. Throughout your life growing up, how often did that moment or that circumstance impact you? You told me you became an attorney because of that. And what about the rest of that day? You were afraid they told you to get down. How did you live your 20s, your 30s, your 40s? Does that, I guess, being in Mississippi or knowing you each time you hear Medgar Evers, but how did that impact you as a person growing up? Was it constantly on the steering wheel of your life, or?
I think it had a tremendous influence in terms of how important it is to vote.
Yes.
Yes.
That people
Yes.
have given their lives. I have friends. I have a friend who was thrown out of a car on a voter registration mission.
Say that one more time. They were.
Thrown out of her car because the Klan ran them off the road. She was working with
Yes.
Snick, yeah, and
Student Nonviolent Coordinator Committee.
Yes, Nick.
John Lewis.
yes, and they threw her out of the car. She's got scars on her face today from working to vote, to get people to vote in the state of Mississippi. So it really embedded in me and my family the importance to get up and go to the polls regardless. You must vote.
Absolutely.
That's important.
Absolutely.
It was just a really horrific time back during that time. Now, as a small child, Regina was about 3, I think, at the time that it happened. And we being Brutus and I and other siblings, had established playful relationships with his children and the other kids that lived on that street and in the communities. And even though, you would hear things on TV as a small child, you really didn't ingest a lot of really what was going on, but you heard enough to know that it was troubling times for us. But for me, and I think for a number of the other children that lived in that area, we lived on the back street behind where they lived, it was just comforting for me, I can recall, just knowing that despite of all the terrible things that was going on, and us being labeled as we were different and we weren't good enough and that kind of thing, to know that this individual, this man, was like a strong hero for us. And it gave me a sense of just being comforted, knowing that he was there and he was our protector. And I, even though, like I said, there was a lot of terrible things that was happening, people fighting and blacks being mistreated, just knowing that he lived in our community, it was like he was our big shoulder. And so when he was around and he, come home, just be able to look at him and said, okay, we're fine because this is our hero. I just remember that being, a part of my security, if you will, knowing that he was there for us.
That is comforting. Anything you want to add?
No, it was a great community, and that community was filled with educators. Where we actually lived at, the school that we attended, the teachers lived in that community also.
Okay.
So that made it a difference. We come from an educated family. Our mother's parents were all teachers, and so it was great, but it was tough with what you see on the news, hearing about other things that was going on, and so it inspired me to go further. So I'm now currently teaching at Jackson State University and teaching in the art department. And so I spent my last 45 years at Jackson State teaching students. It makes a difference in student life and with the background that I have. So I'm pleased that the people before me fought to do what they did for what we can do and carry it on further.
Now I'm told one of your art pieces is doing fairly well. A lot of your art pieces are inspiring people and the uniqueness of them.
Yes, it tells a story. It tells a story of our people. Sure.
Yeah, he's a great artist.
Yeah, I'd like to share as well is that the church that we attend, which is right up the street from where we resided, Shady Grove Missionary Baptist Church.
Yes, ma'am.
There were a lot of civil rights meetings that were held and conducted at that church. And so now, as a result of that, when Medgar Evers' birthday was celebration time, our church was able to engage in some major involvements or programs, if you will. And speakers came in, individuals who worked the civil rights movement came in to speak and just participate. It was just a beautiful thing. And that activity, every so often, whether it's 5 years from now, 10 years from now, is held at Shady Grove Missionary Baptist Church.
Shady Grove Missionary Baptist Church. I put that on my to-do list and calendar to try to make down. It's on his birthday, but not the assassination day.
I'd like to add to what she's saying. Actually, today, the 100th birthday of Medgar Evers is going on as we speak today.
Wow. The synchronicity of you all telling me that story just randomly after I mentioned him, and we're celebrating that around this time now.
Yes.
Even makes it even more special. Thank you all. So you all able to bring Medgar Evers' story to Nashville. And his story is definitely connected here because the racism and the willingness to bomb, the willingness to treat us inhumanely, that didn't stop in Mississippi. That was the story all across America, unfortunately. Oftentimes I say it's not the elephant in the room, it is the room.
Right.
It's not just the odd part about it. That was our room.
Right.
Bombings, killings, intimidation.
That's true.
I know this was emotional, so I want to thank you all, the Quinn family. They're here, everyone, for a family reunion, the Campbell family reunion. Quickly tell me how the Quinns and the Campbells are related.
Well, our grandmother's maiden name is Campbell.
Okay. And that's special to me because my mother is a Campbell. So not the Campbells that I think related to you all, but I kind of feel a special bond with you because I'm a Campbell myself.
Wow.
It could be. Maybe related. There could be a connection. There you go.
Well, thank you all again.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing
Thank
this.
you. Thank you.
That's it.
Folks, that's going to be it. And this amazing family, amazing story. We're not going to let the memory of Medgar Evers ever fade, ever go away. He's going to be alive with Soul of America tours. And we're going to make sure that he's mentioned as well as the many other heroes and sheroes of the civil rights movement. So bye for now. Bye.